Good evening, night shifters. This is third shift HFY. Settle in and let tonight's stars tell their story.
They called our city Orvak Station, though it was less a city than a ring of gardens and labs threaded through a lattice of glass. We Aenvari built our homes like we write, continuous, elegant, full of white space where thought can breathe. The humans called it cozy. I am Iliune, speaker of designs for the Aenvari Concord. My hands were made for shaping field lines, arranging matter until it flows like water. I did not expect to admire grease under fingernails, the charming profancy of stripped bolts, or the ingenuity of people who fix a misaligned grav hinge with a wooden spoon and a smile. And yet there was Keon Adebayo, boots dangling off a service girder, spoon clamped in his teeth, braced against a quivering conduit like a man wrestling a river.
All right, big breath. Orvak, on 3. 1, 2.
The hinge thumped back into alignment with a satisfying clunk. The station's southern promenade leveled out. 1,000 delicate plants quit leaning left like a choir in the wind.
There we go. Your garden stops trying to immigrate.
I floated nearer, my sensory fans bright with embarrassed gratitude. It was migrating. There is a difference.
Not to my back.
He handed me the wooden spoon as if it were a medal. I turned it in my fingers, the tool smooth, stained with the life of stirring something that smelled like cinnamon on cold mornings. The humans brought food everywhere. Meals were rituals, invitations, acts of small mercy when logic runs out. He whistled for his team. Mireya Okafor, their systems lead, swent down beside him with a grin that could start wars and end feuds.
Aenvari emergency averted by the ancient Terran technology. Spoon.
We shall publish a paper. We laughed, and the station breathed easier. I had hosted dozens of species. Humans were different. They didn't arrive with a sales pitch, or with glassy diplomatic phrases polished to dullness. They came with gifts that fit your hands, questions that fit your life, and stories that fit around a table. That night we ate in their little modular galley, knees knocking, elbows bumping. Someone burned the bread and declared it sacrificial. Someone else poured tea that tasted of smoke and summer.
To friends, to the Aenvari, the clever calm in a noisy sky.
I raised my cup. To the humans, the noisy sky in a clever life. We clinked ceramic. Steam rose between us like a vow. The exchange wasn't official, which is why it mattered. No red carpets, no declarative holograms, just a human toolbox, gifted with a wink, and an Aenvari filament prism tuned to anchor a workspace into stillness. Mireya placed the steel case on my bench. Inside, tools nested like a family at rest. Ratchets gleamed. The spoon sat in its own slot, newly carved by Keon, who had inscribed on the handle in his blocky script, "In emergencies, stir."
For your lab, for when everything wants to wobble.
I answered with something our people reserve for the rarest of allies. A prism grown from fused resonance threads, calibrated to the pulse of the building itself. When placed, the air steadies as if a hand pressed gently against the world to stop its shaking. Stand still and think clearly. Mireya set it on the floor. The room quieted. Even the dust seemed to listen.
It feels like someone turned down the universe.
We consider it polite to ask chaos to sit. They visited more often after that. Humans are gravity with laughter. Wherever they stand, chairs get dragged closer. On the third week, after we rescued a crate of seedlings from an overeager customs drone, which believed leaves were contraband fangs, Keon said a thing that lodged behind my ribs.
Allies come and go. Family is family.
He said it like a proverb old as fire. Mireya didn't argue. She only held my gaze a beat longer than usual. I found myself wondering what their word family went in their mouths, how much load it could carry before it groaned. There is, I learned, a quiet ceremony humans perform that changes the air. They do not dim lights or sound trumpets. They simply make space. We were in the greenhouse ring at dusk. Orvak Station glowed like bottled twilight. Mireya had invited me to taste test 5 types of mint, because their chef was having a crisis. She meant it. They always mean it. After the first sip, mint 3, decisive, like waking at exactly the right moment, Mireya set down her cup and folded her hands. Keon leaned back, chair on two legs, balanced the way humans balance everything, playfully near the fall.
Iliun, can I ask you something?
Ask!
There's a word. Kin. It doesn't erase difference. It doesn't swallow culture. It just means you don't stand alone. If you're willing, I'd like to say it out loud.
We'd like to call you family.
My fans flushed silver. Among the Aenvari, we mark such moments with chimes in water and 7 signatures. The humans offered only their faces, earnest, unadorned. I thought of the spoon, of the prism, of how they stood between our interns and a snapped cable, without pausing to calculate risk. Say it.
Iliun of the Aenvari, you're kin to us.
Which means you're on the hook for birthdays.
We have many. We grow years like moss. Mireia leaned forward, palm up. I placed my hand against hers, skin to skin, and felt the precise heat at the center of her palm. Humans run warm. I've learned this is not merely temperature. I accepted without reservation. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a mathematician whispered about probabilities, about predators, about history's bad jokes. I heard them. I believed the better thing anyway. News arrives late to a station that believes in gardening. The first report skittered across the outer network like a beetle clinging to the hull. A minor skirmish on the rim, pirates emboldened by someone's money. We tottered and went back to our tomatoes. The second report did not knock. It tore the door off its hinges. A freighter bearing our sigil limped into dock with its skin peeled back. Half the cargo bay had become vacuum. We lost 7 people. The survivors stumbled out, blinking, red-eyed, covered in the glitter of exploded insulation. Among them was little Pell, a youngling who gathered data like shells. She clutched the bent frame of a broken sensor as if it were a rescued friend.
They laughed when they shot us.
We have ways to lower heart rates, restore oxygen saturation, return trembling hands to stillness. We have fewer ways to fix a sentence like that. Mireia's team showed up with blankets and broth with ginger, moving like a rehearsed kindness. Kion sealed the freighter's wounds with a welder, jaw set, shoulders quiet. When he thinks hard, he hums under his breath. It is not a tune, but it is not noise.
Do we have eyes on the flag?
No confirmed ID, just sharp work, clean cuts. Mercy afterward was not a priority.
He meant no survivors left to tell the story cleanly.
We'll help harden the corridor, get you redundancy. This isn't one and done.
I felt the mathematician stir again. Humans are good at building. They are better at finishing fights. 2 weeks later, the Kravethra Combine arrived. They came not like pirates, not with messy hunger, but like an audit. Their ships were sharp as bone needles, painted in colors that make prey freeze. They slipped past our early warning, threading through blind spots we didn't know we owned. They did not announce a cause. Reasons are luxuries for people who already have your throat. The first volley caught our research wing. The second sheared the greenhouse ring. The third, there was no third. The Kravethra do not waste ammunition the way we do not waste light. I was in the mintile when gravity stumbled. The world twisted. Glass screamed. I slammed into a railing, felt it bruise, tasted copper. In the distance, alarms braided into a single long wail that felt like an animal keening. The AI comms channel opened of its own accord.
Hull breaches in sectors 9 through 13. Fire in hydroponics. Evacuate along blue tracers.
I started toward the blue lights. The corridor ahead was a butchered thought, sentences cut mid-word, rooms tilting at wrong angles, a patch of stars where a wall had forgotten itself. Across that impossible gap, I saw them. 3 Kravethra soldiers in pressure-black armor, stepping through a cut in the world, as if stepping into a neighbor's kitchen. I am not built for war. My hands recall thread and field lines and the patience of water. But family is family. I grabbed a fallen conduit and heaved it like a lever, slammed it against an emergency bulkhead release. Doors slid, atmosphere roared. The Kravethra stumbled. In the corner of my eye, Pell clung to a ladder with both arms and all her courage. "Move, Pal!" She moved. So did I. We slammed the last seal as flames reached for it with hunger made visible. Smoke filled the hall like a history I had not wanted to study. The lungs burned. My eyes wept. The spoon in my pocket dug into my hip. This is not metaphor. I had taken to carrying it the way one carries a charm or a friend's joke. I do not know why I remember that now, except that it was the exact shape of comfort and the exact weight of hope. We put out fires. We counted heads. We covered the gaps with plastic and prayer. Then the humans arrived. They did not come in force at first. They came in faces. Mireya's filled the main display, hair matted with sweat, a smear of ash on her cheek, eyes like flint.
Ailun, are you upright?
Mostly. We are fewer. Mireya's voice softens.
I'm sorry. I'm so... All right, listen. We have two options. You say them with me, patch or punch.
Humans ritualize decision-making. It is how they keep from drowning in their feelings when the water rises over their heads. Patch the living, punch the Kravethra. Keon's face slid into frame. Eyes rimmed red, jaw cabled tight.
Copy that.
The transmit window widened to a public channel. Mireya did not put on a podium voice. She used the one she'd used over tea.
To the Kravethra Combine, you struck our family. We will not negotiate this sentence. Only the order of operations. You have 1 hour to clear the lanes around Orvak Station and power down in place. Any vessel maneuvering after that timestamp forfeits hull and crew. To all others, do not stand between us and our work. Allies come and go. Family is family.
She cut the feed. The room felt different. It had edges I had not seen before. Somewhere deep in the station, someone laughed once without humor and went to sharpen a two. Humans do not waste an hour. They stretched it into a warehouse. In minute 1, they moved triage to the sturdiest ring. In minute 2, they built an airlock out of a door and willpower. In minute 3, Keon rerouted coolant through a pipe not meant for coolant and apologized to it later.
You're not a coolant pipe, friend, but today you play one.
They assign jobs with a cadence like prayer. Mireya looks around and begins to hand out orders.
Jana, shock blankets. Tas, corridor B decon. Pel.
She blinked when Pell stepped into view, taller somehow for the soot.
I can carry. I know the routes.
Mireya smiles.
Then you're my runner. Bright blue routes only.
I watched the clock. At 38 minutes, a Kravethra scout probed the lane like a finger testing a bruise. At 41, 2 more shadowed its wake. At 50, the first scout flared its engines in what may have been a smile. At 59, the humans sang. It was not music. The iron choir was a packet burst disguised as a lullaby, a handshake that said please while inserting a knife. 10 Combine ships went dark at once. Their lights died the way eyes do. In the next breath, human cutters glided past like surgical steel and took the engines off the ones that had ignored the warning. No fire, no gloat, just subtraction. Mireya stood firm.
This is the order of operations.
War planners will tell you strategy is math. That day it was a drawing. Keon spread a grease-stained cloth on a table, set the spoon in the middle to hold it flat. He sketched the lanes with a wax pencil, then circled the Combine's anchor ship, a barbed crescent with a throat full of drones.
Cut the drones at the throat. Nerves before muscle. They'll flail, then freeze.
Do it.
He caught me watching the spoon.
Lucky. Also, it's the exact weight you need to keep paper honest.
It is also a medal. He stared, then looked away like someone hiding a grin from a teacher.
Focus, chef of destiny.
The strike went like math performed by a dancer. Precise, ruthless, even beautiful, if you forgave it the outcome. The drones died mid-arc. The anchor ship blinked, confused, like a predator waking to find its teeth politely removed. Long-range justice is humane. Close work is personal. Our boarding corridor was a repurposed research tube, meant for passing crate-sized wonders, not armored soldiers. Mireya led. Humans move like they have always owned corridors. The Kravethra waited in the docking ring, a knot of black armor and disciplined hunger. They spoke in clicks and gestures. One of them laughed, a sound like a knife tapping glass.
Keon.
On it.
He threw a handful of coins. They were not coins. They were slivers of magnetized shrapnel with a sense of humor. The corridor howled, armor seized against bulkheads. Kravethra twisted, pinned by their own metal bones. Human Marines stepped forward and did what Marines do, clean and kind. Kind because they were quick. One Kravethra remained upright, shielded somehow from the trick. He reached for a throat that was mine. I screamed, "No! I am not built for war." My hands recalled field lines, so I made one. I took the prism out of my bag and cracked it like an egg. Its threads splayed. Field lines leapt like harp strings tuned to an impossible scale. The air went still. The Kravethra's blade hesitated, as if time had hit a shoal.
Beautiful.
Family tricks.
We finished it. Close work is ugly, even when it is done with respect. Afterward there is always a ledger. The living, the lost, the broken things that can be mended and the broken things that cannot. We wrote their names and set them on mortar. Pell carried the first lantern. Her hands did not shake.
For my people who did not make it home.
We'll stand here with you until the lights go out.
She did. We did. Lantern by lantern, the ring became a slow constellation. Keon found me away from the others, where engineers go to pretend they are checking bolts when what they are checking is themselves.
Ilyun. Hey buddy. Breathe.
I thought I knew you were, but humans, but seeing it, the speed, the decision, I am full of a feeling that will not stand upright.
We learned two things early. How to love and how to finish. If you get the first one right, you only use the second when you have to. Today we had to.
He tapped the spoon in his pocket like a man checking the time. The Combine did not send an apology. They sent silence. Silence is an answer. The Terran Assembly sent a statement. Not the kind you file, the kind you nail to a door.
To the Kravethra Combine, release all Aenvari captives, return stolen data, and withdraw from the Orvak corridor. Failure will be corrected with finality. To all bystanders, this is a family matter. If you stand in our way, you will be moved.
The galaxy argued about tone. We pruned tomatoes and rebuilt bulkheads and slept in shifts, while the humans strung a net of ships around us like a hearthrug. You knew this was in them. Yes, I did. Not this much, not this clearly. Family reveals volumes. He wasn't wrong. I had read a paragraph and been handed a library. The Combine tried one last shape. They pointed a planet killer at a convoy of evacuees, like a child pointing a gun at a window to see if it will break. Mireia didn't blink.
Cut the throat.
The Iron Choir sang a different verse, a pulse that drowned guidance, a whisper that told coolant to boil, a gentle hand that turned a very large knife back toward its owner. The planet killer winked out like a moth in rain. The convoy drifted on, midwives of a future we'd almost dropped.
That's that.
You make it look easy.
It's never easy. It's just ours.
We rebuilt Orvak Station, with hands that had learned each other's shapes. Humans worked alongside us without keeping score. They labeled every tool in Aenvari glyphs so our apprentices could reach for the right help without asking. They taught us to overbuild corners where grief likes to sit.
Put redundancy where you store the delicate stuff, and where you keep the tea.
Tea shall survive the heat death of the universe.
As intended.
We added a new garden on the outer ring. It grows mint number 3, decisive, in a wide bed held down by a circle of stones engraved with names. Pell chose the order. It is not alphabetical, it is musical. On the day the last scaffolds came down, Mireia found me by the viewport, where the stars looked like mistakes waiting to be edited. She handed me something wrapped in cloth. I opened it. The spoon, polished. On the handle, the Aenvari glyph for kin, carved with a jeweler's hand. On the bowl, a tiny prison, inset like a moon.
In emergencies.
Stare.
Say it with me anyway, for the room.
Family is family. We said it together. The station hummed, content. I am older now, though our years grow like moss and pretend not to move. When new envoys arrive, I pour tea and offer spoons. I show them the mint and the prisms and the ring of names. I tell them the truth we learned. Humans can be the gentlest engineers in a loud sky. They will fix your hinge and warm your hands and learn your language because it's yours. They will invite you to dinner, which is not about food, and to birthdays, which are about building a roof over time. And if they call you family, the universe should make room, because you will not stand alone again, and those who try to separate you will learn about decisions made at speed, at scale, with sorrow and without hesitation. I knew humans had steel. I did not know they had this much steel. wrapped so carefully in quilts. When a human calls you family, the map changes, lanes widen, nets appear where you didn't know you were falling. Predators look up and find themselves counted and measured, and, if they insist upon it, ended. We Aenvari chose a word long ago to describe perfect stillness in which thought can happen. The humans taught me it's sibling, the moment right before a friend catches you. I keep a spoon on my desk, where sunlight finds it first. It is exactly the weight of comfort. It holds exactly the right amount of tea. If you lift it, you can feel the prism in its bowl and the warmth in its handle. Both served by people who fix what breaks and finish what must be finished. And if anyone asks what we are to them, I answer with a smile that learned to be brave. Family.